All right, Rob, the Jets, their head coach, Robert Saleh, was feeling himself. Let's just keep it real. He was feeling himself after the game. Here's what he said.
I think we can go toe-to-toe with anybody. It says a lot about this group and how mentally strong they are and how much they love one another and appreciate one another and fight for one another. You know, we're going to continue battling. We're going to continue to try to find a way to write our story for this year. And obviously winning this game going into the bye week is nice, but we had a big win last year too. We've got to come out of the bye week with even more intent and more of that mindset and continue to find ways to get better so we can finish stronger. You know, through these first 6 weeks, we've played a gauntlet of quarterbacks. I know we haven't gotten all wins, but we've embarrassed all of them.
Wow. All right, Rob, is it just me? Or is Robert Saleh tripping?
He's tripping. Go ahead, you can go first, because I think he's tripping too.
Well, first of all, I mean, there's so much there that he said. Look, first of all, congratulations to the Jets. 3-3, Rob. We thought, when we looked at their schedule, if they finished 3-3, and this was when Aaron Rodgers was healthy, we thought if they can get through this gauntlet at 3-3, going into the bye week with Aaron Rodgers, the schedule loosens up, man, they're going to be tough to handle. And here they are, 3-3 with Zach Wilson. So look, they've done well. They beat the Bills. They beat the Eagles. They almost beat the Chiefs. They beat Denver, and Denver's not very good, but it was a grudge match because Sean Payton was running his mouth. And so, congratulations. They've had a good start in what could have been just, a nightmare season from the get-go, right, with Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. But, Rob, I don't think I still don't have them as a playoff team now that Rodgers is out. But I want to address what Saleh said at the end there, that they have embarrassed all these great quarterbacks, okay? First of all, not true. I mean, unless he wasn't counting Dak. And maybe he wasn't. But Dak Prescott had his best game of the season against the Jets. 31 for 38.
Somehow they forgot that game.
Right.
That game was
255, 2 touchdowns, no picks, in a 30-10 blitzkrieg. So
no, they got the greatest defense ever.
Him.
Right. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Right? Matt Jones had his best game of the season, too, against the Jets. And that's not saying much. He was pedestrian. But for him, it was his best. All right? And you lost to them. Now, Rob, I'm being balanced. I'm giving them credit where credit is due.
What are you, Fox News now? Fair and balanced? Go ahead. I'm listening.
I'm giving them credit where credit is due. They have held Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. 3 guys who at the start of the season, I think, were viewed as top 5 quarterbacks. Mahomes clearly the best quarterback in the league. And Allen's a top 5 guy. And Hurts is in that 5-ish range. They held all 3 of them to the worst game of their season. All 3 of them had their worst passer rating of the year against the Jets and their most interceptions of the season against the Jets. So they've done well, but he's going too far. And Rob, this is the last thing I'll say before you take it over. The Jets, when they beat Denver, they were highly motivated by all the trash that Sean Payton had talked.
Yep.
Right? Nat Hackett, they were one to win it for Coach Hackett. And they did. Congrats. They don't think some of these quarterbacks, they don't think Buffalo, they don't think Kansas City is going to look, oh, wait, you embarrassed me? Patrick Mahomes, like, first of all, we beat y'all. Secondly, you embarrassed me? So now you have done what Sean Payton did for you, giving you a little extra push, you've done now to some of the top quarterbacks in the league. So they went a little too far out.
Yeah, I just think you're right. He was feeling himself. They got a win that most people didn't think they would get. And again, Chris, we know this is not new to the New York Jets. If you get a team to commit 3 or 4 turnovers, and I don't know what the record is, Chris, I guarantee you it's an 80% win rate if you get 4 turnovers. That's what they got yesterday, and I get it. And when they've gotten 3 or more, they're 3-0.
And they're good at that.
Right, and they're 3-0. I mean, but I'm saying that's not just a. That's
But
not
I'm just saying,
that's not right. I'm
you
not
got to do it.
Right.
You gotta
right.
take it
But I'm
away.
just saying that's not a only any team that's doing that is going to mostly going to win games 8 out of 10 times. Here's the other thing. They got all kinds of other quarterback. I don't think he's thrown a touchdown the last 2 or 3 weeks, has he? I know he didn't have another one. They can't rely on winning just this way or trying to get 3 or 4 turnovers a game in order to win and still barely even winning. I mean, you get 4 turnovers and what they win by? Win by 6 points.
6.
Did you hear the record?
Zach Wilson has not thrown a touchdown in the last 2 games.
Yeah, last 2. And Chris, third down, 18 for 72. 18 for their last 7 on third down. How in the world all of these things, when you add them together, does not make a great football team, and nothing that can be sustained. These things cannot be sustained. No one's taking the wins away from them. Yes, that they're 3-3, Chris, is amazing because they probably should be 1-5, to be honest. But again, when you turn the ball over and do what you've done, and we saw it in week 1. I mean, they barely won that game, and Josh Allen was awful. 4 turnovers. Jalen Hurts, 4 turnovers. 3 picks, and then they also fumbled the ball, right? They had 4 turnovers in that game.
Well, they got no offense. I shouldn't say that. They don't have a quarterback. Because Breece Hall is the truth, and the line is a good run-blocking line. And obviously, Garrett Wilson is great. Like, they got receivers, and they've got running backs. They don't have a quarterback. And I know everybody's going gaga to some, that's a little bit of an overstatement, but people are excited about Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson has just become a serviceable game manager, Rob.
Right. Don't get in the way. Don't make a mistake. Yep. Like that. Like he's not really a part of it. I can't say he's not a part of it, but you know what I mean, Chris.
No, they're just trying to make sure he doesn't lose the game.
Right. That's where he is now, and I'm just not so sure that that's going to work for a while. It's going to work for the long run and not where they are. I just think 3-3 they should be celebrating because they just haven't really played. I'm talking about on both sides of the ball to be 3-3.
Well, the interesting thing, Rob, is they're 3-3. They got the Giants, winnable. Chargers are a better team, certainly offensively, but that's a winnable game. Raiders, winnable. And then they got the Bills and the Dolphins, who obviously they beat the Bills, but those are 2 teams that should beat them. So if they can win, they possibly could win their next 3 games. But if they come out of those 3 games, Rob, 5-4 overall, they're in the hunt and they're winning it with defense. Like, that defense is good. And they did that, remember, yesterday without Sauce Gardner.
Right.
So their defense is legit, but you're right. Like, it's so tough to win without getting anything really from your quarterback.
You can't sustain it, and that's the problem even last year, Chris, when everybody was raving about their defense. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They won 7 games roughly without a quarterback, and that's what catches up to you is that there are those moments in games where you're going to need your quarterback to do something.
Now, Rob, you saw Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines, not just standing there and watching. He was warming up. I mean, not warming up to go in the game, but he was throwing the football and, moving his legs and, throwing the football.
That's the lane.
And not just with his arms.
That ain't out there playing tackle football.
No, but that's incredible in my book.
No, that he's already up.
After surgery.
It hasn't been long. It's been about a month, right?
Yeah, and you're out there doing that. I mean, that's impressive. And, of course, he has said he wants to play this year. Don't rule it out. And, Rob, there is I'm going to read this report from a guy who is a quote-unquote injury expert. Okay? An injury expert. And he is a colleague of the doctor that did the surgery, the Achilles surgery on Aaron Rodgers, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
That doctor, by the way, is the one who operated on Tom Brady's Achilles.
Who's that, Dr. Vinny Boombots? No.
No. Here's what this guy, this quote-unquote injury expert, his name is Marty Jaramillo, says. He said he's moving almost 3 times as fast as traditional protocols. No boot, no crutches, minimal limp. It's quite exponential. There is no precedent for this type of recovery following an Achilles tear. He is beating back Father Time. And Rob, this guy threw this out, Jaramillo, that Rodgers could return. He's not saying it's definite or it's even what Rodgers is shooting for. But he said by how far ahead of the typical schedule he is, he can return in week 12. Week 12.
I don't believe it. And here's the other part. You got to be real careful. You rush him back out there. God forbid that dude gets hurt again at that age because he's not fully there. I just think I think it's dangerous. You got to really decide what's important. Are you really trying to win, or are you trying to get this guy hurt because he rushed back? And then he's not lost for this season, Chris. He's lost for next season too.